What's up, guys? My name's JP. Sorry for the amateurist quality here, but I am an amateur, and I just wanted to show you guys that honor mode isn't really as difficult as people are making it out to be. There's definitely no need for super powerful builds. There is no need for exploits or what I just basically call cheating. And hey, props to everyone who's spent the time doing all your major builds, finding all the glitches, finding all the speed running. That's great, but that's not my play style. I want to do more of a full force frontal assault on everything in Act 3. So I'll start by letting you guys know I've beat the game 3 times already. I've got every achievement except tactical and the new honor mode achievement. I've done it every way possible. I've probably seen 90 to 95% of everything the game has to offer at this point. So I kind of knew what I was getting into as far as what I wanted to do. I'm doing an all good playthrough. So the tieflings are all still alive. The gnomes are all still alive. Um, Act 1 was brutal. I'm not going to lie. There are just no level 1 to 4 builds. I mean, it is what it is at that level. And my setup was basically 2 fighters, Shadowheart, and Asterion. I left Gale parked until level 5 because Larian is cheesing the absolute shit out of us. The coup de grace on downed players was ridiculous. The AI would accept 2 to 3 attacks of opportunity just to get in range of Gale when I tried to use him prior to level 5. It just wasn't worth my time. But I basically started out by winding my way around, gathering my party, and avoiding fights as much as humanly possible. I then, slowly worked my way into the Grove, doing everything there, etc., etc. In Act 1, it's honestly better to not fight and talk your way out of fights because you're not only going to get more experience, you're not going to run the risk of losing your game in the first 20 to 30 hours. Act 2, you've got 4 major bosses that can be literally tricked into killing themselves. I suggest strongly that you do that, or at least 3 of the 4. If you want to take Garangoth and pay her off and push her off the side to get your money back and get the scroll, you actually get more XP for doing it that way than you do for just having her straight kill herself. Just a heads up. I've recruited every character, including Minthara, because if you don't knock Minthara out now, you can still recruit her in Act 2. You don't have to attack the Grove to do it. So I went that route. The only player that's not in the party at the moment is Minsk, and we'll be working on getting him soon. I've explored the majority of Act 3 above ground at this point. We've hit level 12. I've set up all the major quest lines. So as you can see, everything's here. I've found all but 1 piece of dribbles, and I've got everything set up for a literal perfect good playthrough that would have popped me multiple achievements. So with that being said, I'm going to jump right into the classes I'm using. It's all pretty simple. My main character is just a paladin with some sorcerer added on at the end for the added boom. Asterion, I've got set up as a 4 rogue, 8 ranger. Nothing special about him.
You have my attention.
Gale is an 8 sorcerer, 4 wizard. I did that not only for the extra feats, but because there are spells that you just can't get to as a sorcerer unless you've been a wizard at some point. So I, at one point, re-rolled him straight wizard, learned all the spells that you get that you can't learn any other way, and then I switched him back into this build. Jaheira, I'm really only using her to get Minsk, but she's a fighter ranger, mostly melee, but can do just as much damage, really, ranged. Then I'm going to have to run around into these other guys. Shadowheart is the traditional, now, radiating orb build. I try not to use her unless radiant damage is just needed for the fight. The blind, as you saw on my Merkel fight, worked out really well. Merkel, generally, you have about a 35% chance to hit. It raised it up to like 95% or something. It made it a pretty simple fight, but I will try to not pull her out unless absolutely necessary because that is the only cheese build that I have. Will is, I believe, a straight bard. Maybe some fighter on the end, I don't remember. Halson, I don't use, but he is a straight druid. He's just there to fill out the party. Come over here, I've got my monk is Karlak. which I only pull out on like huge crowd fights. I mean, single target, I feel like the paladins work better. Gale, we already looked at him. Astarion, we already looked at him. Who did I miss? Minthara. Minthara is also a paladin sorcerer, but she has 2 levels of fighter tacked on at the end. It's kind of funny because if you recruit both of these guys, they always share a campsite slash bed or whatever. I don't think they're really sleeping together though. Mind powers. These are big. If you're not going to play with broken builds and you're not going to use exploits, you are going to want these mind powers.
Still breathing, despite.
Immediately upon finishing Act 2, the first thing I did was respec as a bard and make sure everybody took the Astral Touch Tadpole. That will open these 5 abilities around the center and will also open up Fly, which is a big deal for everyone. And then I took all the tadpoles I saved. I gave everybody this one, Luck of the Far Realms. And then I don't really care about Mind Blast as much as Cull of the Week, but I've got a nifty little item that makes Mind Blast spectacular. I'll show to you in a minute. But Cull of the Week is a necessity, guys. Like, count all these powers. So when anytime you attack a monster and its health drops below the amount of powers you have unlocked for that character, it's an automatic death. I mean, you can't beat that. Everything dies. In my case, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If it gets less than 10 hit points, it's dead. So, that can be really helpful in situations where you're hanging on the edge of life and death and you need to get some things off the board really quick. You know that you can use that to help. My gear. I don't want to go too deep into the gear because I'm not using anything special except with Shadowheart, and you can look up her build online easily. Everybody else is just using gear appropriate for whatever it is that they're doing. Like, she's mostly melee. I put some melee gear on her. My main character, uncrittable, just because of the adamantine splint armor. Lizelle has the other adamantine split armor. I made 2. That way I could have 2 non-critical characters at least in the party at once. But right now, Orin has kidnapped Lizelle, so we can't actually see her. But she's just a level 12 fighter. 3rd uncritical character because of that helmet. The Grimskull helmet is Astarion. When I've got those 3 in the party together, it's usually because it's a really hard fight and I just can't take the damage. And again, I don't want to cheese. Larian's cheesing us to death already. So I actually enjoy not cheesing back and being able to power through all this stuff. My route that I went through Act 3. I mean, I literally just started doing everything from the moment I walked in. I didn't avoid any fights that come to you out in the open world or surprise fights, but like I said, I haven't done much of the Undercity yet because I was just saving that for level 12. But at this point, everything's set up. All I really have left to do now is the bank, the graveyard, exploration, and then boss fight after boss fight after boss fight up to the last fight. So from here on out, that's what my videos will be. It was just me literally kicking the ass of the game. I won't be breaking the AI. I won't be using any fog builds. I won't be invisibilitying myself inside of fights just so the fights don't start, especially near the end. I'm going to powerhouse my way through Raphael. I'm going to powerhouse my way through the final fight before the Netherbrain and the Netherbrain itself. There won't be any trickery, treachery, exploits, none of that. And like I said, for those last few fights, Shadowheart will be staying behind for sure, just so you can see that you do not need to do anything special to beat this game on honor mode except use decent builds and solid tactics and basically put on the right gear. At the beginning of each of the videos, I'll show you who's there and what exactly they're wearing. I probably won't do a lot of talking from this point on out because I'm not here for the reputation. I'm just here to show you guys that, hey, you can do this. I don't care if you don't think you're good at the game. I promise you, after you watch me do this, you'll be able to do this too. Have a good one.